Oh man. The whole point is to share it on here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Embarrass the shit out of yourself.
Keep the conversation, as random as possible.
And you're doing a fine job on your end.
Hey.
Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Stardom right here in JG's Lounge. BF, man. Bobby, how you doing, dude?
What's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Yeah, man. Good to finally catch up with you. I know we've been trying to hook up and all, so it's fine and glad to be here with you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've been doing good. I think I want to kind of get this out of the way now. Our audio has been late either, and I think it might be due to weather. Just in case anybody watching this now or later on or listens knows if there's a little bit of time gap between responses, that's why.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we were talking about that before the show started, how you got pounded. We tried to get together the other day, and you had you called it Snowmageddon when you contacted me.
Yeah, that's just a prequel to what we're getting this weekend too, apparently. So it's only supposed to get worse over the next few days. I think by Sunday we're supposed to be negative degrees.
Yeah, it's crazy. I live up here in Maryland. We always say if you don't like the weather in Maryland, you just wait a day. So the western part of our state probably got what you got. They got a good bit of snow, but we got mostly rain here. I was without power up midnight my time last night though, when I was talking to you. But finally they got it hooked up and we're here today and we're doing it, man. How you been?
Heck yeah, man. I'm doing great. And actually the audio delay really isn't so bad since we've gone live. So hopefully it stays that way for us.
It's like a stream. Once you get going downstream, you got to keep rowing the boat.
Yeah.
So we'll just keep rowing the boat and keep going, man.
Keep going.
I got
How's
my coffee
the show
here.
going, man?
It's going good, man. I do I do BF Live for those of you watching and might not know. I do a show every Monday called BF Live, and it's like a live kind of radio show, kind of podcast vibe I try to put together, and it's going well, man. Thank you, bro.
Good. Yeah, I was kind of telling you about JG's Lounge doing so well, and I kind of want to let the audience know and all of the following just to get it out of the way real quick. Hey, you guys have been killing it, and I appreciate all of you. The shows are climbing, numbers are clearly there, so just keep hustling, keep grinding with me. If it wasn't for you guys, I'd still be doing this, but it's always great to have an audience. So I appreciate all of you, and BF, man, you're a great buddy of mine, and we always shoot the shit and kind of pass ideas back and forth sometimes. So I appreciate you as well.
Yeah, man. We always talk about how he grinded this stuff every day, man. You do the job, but then it's always in your head. You're always thinking about the next thing you can do or the next thing you want to do. And I see you got like a crew building up a cool network of shows, man. So your grind is going good.
Yeah. I started a little over 3 years ago, and then about almost 2 years ago, I stumbled upon the Shuli Network, and I think it's because I had Bob Levy on, and that's how I found the Shuli Network, and then that really inspired me.
Yeah, Bob Levy is a hell of a guy, man. So if you had contact with Bob Levy, man, there's a lot of love out there for Bob Levy, and a lot of the shows where I put his name up there, people love to just come watch anything with Bob Levy. He's a great guy, and he's a big part of the reason that I'm here too, brother.
Yeah, it just makes me want to keep going, man. That's kind of where we're at now, and I know the potential of podcasting and where it can go, and I enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, if I didn't have other things pulling me away, like life and eating and breathing and stuff like that, I would be doing more podcasting because that's how much I like it. If I'm even sitting in front of my gear, I'm grinding at it. And when I'm not in front of my gear, it's kind of all I think about. So, yeah, I can feel you on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, it's crazy how quick life goes now. I mean, I feel like just yesterday we were having my 6-year-old, and even now it's just like weeks bleed into months, and you're just like, man, is it really already this time of year?
Absolutely, and the more you go along and it happens, I know that I got to start adding years to things. When I think of something like, didn't that just happen last year? And I'm always like a year or two shy, bro. So now I got to pad all of my thoughts with adding a year to them because that's what time does to you. Time is that slow creep. It plays that trick on all of us, man. So, yep, just trying
Yeah.
to make the most of it and
You
have the most
remember like
fun.
growing up as a kid?
Hmm.
You remember growing up as a kid and like, I mean, I can't wait till I'm 18.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
bro. We all did
now
that, didn't
it's
we? It's not the whole glamorous
now
thing
it's like, man, I
we
wish I was still a kid.
We thought it was. Yeah, definitely. You have those thoughts. And it's funny how like just a certain day or a smell or something of a school can like trigger those old thoughts, or something as simple as seeing like for me, like seeing Price is Right for a lot of us. Like if you see Price is Right during the day, like I always knew that had that kid like playing hooky
Yeah.
from school vibe. If I ever saw Price is Right during the day, I knew that I was like sick or I was like playing hooky from school and all. But yeah, just thinking about when you said want to go back to be a kid, it kind of reminded me of those days. Of kind of just wanting to be home, not wanting to be at school, and kind of cheating and watching daytime TV that you normally don't see.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's crazy how short life is. With that being said, today's topic, I found a few animals that have the shortest lifespan and a few that have the longest, just to kind of make our lifespan sound a little bit more, understandable.
Yeah, okay, relatable. I get that. All right, what you got?
So that's our topics today. So I mean, just to get it out of the way first, I kind of wanted to get with some of the household pets. You got your cat was about
Hmm.
12 to 18 years. Mhm.
Yeah, and I've been lucky like that. We have the cats that I've had have all been strays. The first cat we had kind of just rolled into our house that we were renting the first 2 years me and my wife were together. We had that cat for like 14,
Mhm.
15 years. And then she brought in another
Mhm.
feral cat. We had that cat for like 16 years. It just unfortunately just passed and all. But yeah, so a lot of people don't
Mhm.
realize that cats can last kind of this long, bro. They can be around with you a good part of your your young life.
Yeah, man, and we've had cats, but somehow they always end up becoming outdoor cats, and not because we're doing anything bad. They'll
Hmm.
like come back, they'll go in and out of the house, and eventually they just don't want to come back in the house. They're just gonna hang out outside the property.
Yeah, I had some more of those indoor outdoor cats pets when I was a kid. They would have an outside area. Yeah, and like you said, after a while, sometimes they'd be like, "Nah, I'm good. I'll just kind of chill out here." I
Yeah.
think it's more fun and
Have
more
you always
active
been more of a
outside.
Yeah, have you always been more of a cat person, or you like dogs?
I like both real equally, man. I see there's some people that are like, man, I can't stand cats and all. I love cats. I think cats are like they're kind of highly intelligent, and I think that's why a lot of people are kind of threatened because they have like a thought process, and people don't like when something outthinks them. So I've never had any problem with cats. I
Right.
like cats. I love dogs, but currently right now we just got my lazy dog laying on the couch over here. But yeah, I like cats.
And dogs live yeah, and dogs live about, 10 to 13 years on average, but I mean, that's kind of hard to tell because, like, you got your real tiny dogs and you got your real big breed dogs that don't live
Hmm.
that long, and then, your average medium-sized dogs, you know, 30 to 60-pound dogs are more in this 10 to 13-year range.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a now you've probably at an age where you've had a couple animals and you have to make that decision at some point. Like, one passes and then there's a certain time period where you got to go, okay, do I want to do this again for another 10 to 13 years and also, I mean, had that been your experience with animals growing up or?
Well, I mean, our biggest thing is that we foster,
Oh,
and,
see, I can't do that. I got
we
too
have
big of
been
a heart. I never want to let them go.
well, and that's the thing is it's weird because it's like more of a connection to foster groups. So
Okay.
like they have a dog, they're like, "Hey, you want to take care of this because we don't have enough room in the shelter or
Hmm.
whatever."
Yeah.
And if you like them, we either get them for like no cost or pretty cheap, because we're always helping, because we
Yeah.
always have multiple dogs in the house. So,
Right. So I guess
but
so.
then
Even
I've
if you're not
also
really
that's the other thing though. Like, Go ahead.
I was saying, if you're not really owning one, you still have that feel of always having a pet around because you're doing that foster thing. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and it does make it changes the perspective though, because you get a dog and let's say it's already 8 years old. I've I haven't burned through, but I've had a lot of pets and I've
Yeah.
buried a lot of pets.
Okay.
Like these are so the attachment factor
Yes.
is kind of not as intimate as it has as for other people who have had them since they were babies.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be a tough thing, and also, I after my cat passed, we currently don't have a cat right now, but I'm a cat person, like you kind of figured out, and so I'm kind of figuring out because some people go out right away like the next day and they go, I got to fill that hole, they want to fill the hole
Mhm.
instantly. To me, but I need a little grief period, but I understand it's different for different people, but it's all part of life, I guess, right?
Yeah. And we Yeah, man, it's definitely all part of the life, man, and it's always nice to have more than just a human to come home to, something all excited to see you and get your attention like a dog. But then, on the other hand, you got the cat who just kind of looks at you and goes, all right, yeah,
And I
I'll
think
let you
that's
pet
what
me.
I think that's why people don't like cats because they're kind of indifferent. They kind of think they're like, oh, I know you, whatever. You're like, whatever. But yeah, you're right about that part about the animal happy to see you come home
Mhm.
because my children are like older now. They're beyond that the daddy thing where dad everything's daddy. So it's kind of they're kind of more like cats to me now. Like, hey, dad, okay, whatever. But the dog always is happy to see. They're always enthusiastic, and my dog is a daddy dog. So my dog likes me more than the girls, and also I got that going for me.
That is good, man. That's good. So I wanted to get those out of the way, but we do have I got some of the shortest lifespan animals, and I've got some of the longest lifespan animals.
Yeah, I'd be interested in the shortest ones because everybody wants when you get an animal, you want it to live. So I'll be curious to let's find out which ones are like the shortest, and maybe I'll avoid them.
Well, these definitely aren't pets. These are just
Okay.
animals
Yeah, yeah.
in the world.
But
Some even bugs. But
I've never even pondered
what do
how
you think
short.
has the shortest lifespan?
I don't know. Like part of me off the top of my head wants to say like a bug or a gnat or something like that, but I don't know. Them they seem to be they live
Yeah.
forever. Or there's so many of them
So
though.
so so what I looked up. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I did this one first. It's not the shortest lifespan, but it's the fruit fly. And mostly because I've always heard that they only live like 24 to 48 hours, and I was curious. But no,
Yeah.
they actually live about 14 days because they have like their larva stage and then like the next stage before they actually become the fly.
Let's wonder. And if you wonder if they have any conscience, like do they know that they only have 14 days? Do they start feeling themselves die and go out and get extra fruit or whatever they do? Like, do they have that feeling like maybe humans have? I'm curious about those kind of things.
Yeah, I should have done a little bit more research because I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you. I was
Well, I
just
mean,
thinking, man, 14 days is not a very long time.
no, it's not. And I got a little deep on you because that's kind of how I think. I guess I'm always that kind of kid that I don't even like even killing a fly. Like I'll kill a bug if I'm threatening a spider, if I think it's going to crawl on me in the middle of the night. But overall, I'm the kind of guy that'll grab a bug and throw it outside. So I guess I'm always thinking like I'm empathetic towards the bug. So I think like, what is their life must be like? So maybe that's where that came from.
Yeah, yeah, I can't imagine that their mind is more than I need to eat and produce and
Maybe,
reproduce.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
within
They
a
might just
14-day lifespan, I would think that.
yeah, it might all be instinct.
Mhm. 14 days, man. I mean,
Right, because look,
if you had
yeah, if
good.
you tell a dude you only got 14 days to live, something's going down. We're going to be thinking about what we're going to get in, what we're going, we're going to. That's what guys are going to think. So it makes me wonder what would other people think if they only had if they knew the limits to their life.
Well, and I feel like that's sort of like a species mentality too. Like as as a human, if you were only given 14 days, in order for that species to continue existing, it would literally that would be your schooling. You know, by the time you're 3 days old, you're in school learning about sex ed and like, hey, here's some condoms. Go out there. Actually, don't use these condoms. Okay.
Yeah, but you make a good point because it's 14 days. And like you said, the drive is always instinct in anything living is to reproduce. So you're probably right. They're probably just set with a goal. Like they live, they come, they reproduce, and they cycle out. Well, and that's probably that's part of their circle of life, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And this isn't even the shortest one. This is just the one that I've heard. The shortest living animal is called a gastrotrick. It's in all water. It's in water around the world. It's a global. It's like this flat animal that just lives in water, and it doesn't even live a full week.
Did you ever do the thing in school where they would take us out to the local creek or pond and have us with an eyedropper, and you would extract water, put it in a jar, and then we would take it into the class in our science class or biology class, put one drop of that water on a little piece of glass, a little pane, put it under the microscope, and we would see all that kind of stuff under the microscope.
See, I don't think we did that. I think we went and grabbed like soil and stuff from like the field.
Yeah.
But I do remember doing it.
Yeah, I remember because you had to go down and get the slimy water and kind of put it in there, and then you put the little drop on there and you see nothing. It looks clear, even though it was green coming out, but you really put it under that microscope, boy, and you just see that it's teeming with life. And that's when I first got a sense of like, wow, the world is so much bigger than us. You think it's all about humans and animals maybe, but then you have this whole other, biological world that we don't even see every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is actually categorized as an animal. It's not even like an insect.
Neat. I wasn't aware of that. So yeah, I like waking up and learning stuff during the day.
Yeah, man.
That's
when
cool.
I had you on, when I knew we were gonna do this, I was like, man, I want some information. 7 a.m, let's get going.
Yeah, just as long as there ain't a test on it later, I'll be cool.
Right. Yeah. Actually, there's a quiz. You better be taking notes.
Shit.
All right.
Damn it. Don't make me use my brain this early. All right, here we go.
So I did do a little bit of digging on this one. It does say by day 3 it's producing eggs, and it reproduces on its own. I forgot the term for it, but yeah, it reproduces and basically clones itself is what it does.
Cool.
Yeah. So
that's kind of stuff. We need to ask them how they do that shit. You know, like I say, that stuff we think we're the smartest and most advanced biologically in our minds, but then you have this whole other world, this microscopic world that seems to figure things out on a different level than we have, maybe. Yeah. So just let you know.
And if you had less than a week, if you were born, like we already discussed, 14 days, cut that in half.
Right.
I mean, that's I don't even know. I feel like any species is probably designed around their lifespan, like as far as the amount of knowledge that they could take in. Would you say that's probably accurate?
Yeah, it's a fair point. I've never pondered these things, like how you would live within a encapsulated or a small time frame, and how that affects, if that is their biology, their whole 14 days. Yeah, then everything they do is probably already kind of programmed in, bro. It seems like more like a system, as to where we're more kind of deliberate. We think things out, and maybe we have other options that will affect our lifespans. But with their 14 days, yeah, and that's why I get into the whole conscious thing. Like, is there any thought during this, or is it all just process? And maybe it's all process, but I guess might not ever know.
Yeah, no, I think well, and with the this gastro trick, it said that it literally at 3 days it has eggs, reproduces, and then within 2 days it's dead.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, it's like 5 to 6 days, and that's their life, man. I mean, I can't imagine there being much consciousness besides just floating around, reproducing, dying.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes you ponder these things, though, doesn't it?
It does, man. It kind of makes you go, okay, maybe my life is not as short as I thought it was. I mean, it is short, but we also have the mental capacity to think and kind of plan out, and that fills a lot of space and time in
Hmm.
itself, so it kind of gets away from you.
That it does.
Yeah. Next up is the meal moth.
Mm,
The meal moth, you've seen mealworms. That's what it is.
okay. Oh, before,
They
okay,
live
when
up to
after it changes.
yeah, yeah. They turn into this, they live about 3 weeks.
Hmm, 3 weeks.
So 3 weeks, so a little bit better, a little bit longer lifespan. I still can't imagine their mental capacity being very very great. They
It
probably
makes
just
you,
want to pester everybody.
yeah, and then, but then, so I guess you obviously it's a case to case basis, but then you hear these other stories where other things think on much higher levels of intelligence that we've ever even imagined. So I don't totally rule out without being able to communicate them that there's no conscious involved, like that they don't have any kind of awareness. But yeah, I think a lot of yeah, everything is just probably just drive. It's just cycle, you know.
Mhm. Well, and think about like how massively reproduce these shorter lifespan animals,
Hmm.
how massive they reproduce. Us, where if you have more than twins, it's like, wow. As for these ones,
Yeah.
you're talking about hundreds of eggs at a time.
Hmm. Yeah. But it does make you ponder how if there is that awareness of our lifespans, what do you do in that? And like I gotta be like a bug. I gotta get it all in because I'm gonna be gone in this amount of time. But yeah, so I guess we do, like I guess humans, we're born and we think, oh, I'll live 50, 60, 70, 80 years. So I guess you base the pace on your life the way you feel it's going to play out for you. And we have that consciousness. We have that ability to control and maybe affect that to where maybe
Yeah.
bugs and other things that are lesser don't have that ability.
Yeah, and I think you hit a good point on that because I've always told people, if I hit 70, I've succeeded because I feel like anything beyond that, it's just, it is what it is, but I'm not planning like my life based on much more than that.
Is that right? Yeah, yeah, you definitely hope you make it to retirement age and have a couple good years. My whole thing is I just want to be happy and healthy at that older age. I don't if I'm blessed enough to live at an older age, I don't want to be a burden on anybody. I still want to have my
Right.
good walking ability and my gait and be able to be self-sufficient. I would really
Right.
hate to be there's no point in being older and just kind of wasting away and laying around and being a burden on people. So I only ask that if I do have a long life, I hope I'm mobile for a long time. My father-in-law, he just recently slowed down, but up until he was like 88, 85, 86 years old, my dude was
Mhm.
still like getting up on step ladders and had a good gait about his walking also. I have
Yeah.
hope that if I live long, that it won't all be just like sitting in a chair and wasting away.
Right. 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 Yeah. 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 No, that's kind of where I'm at, man. I want to be hustling and going. So it's, I think taking care of your health is a huge part of it. And that's something that us as humans can kind of control uh for a good portion, and that's something that these guys probably can't really control. So
Yeah. I think life is a use it or lose it thing as far as your muscles and your faculties and everything, bro. I think you got to be out there and moving and walking. And I think if you keep it up and do it on a regular paces, I think we have a better chance of maybe some more longevity and some better longevity. Use it or
yeah,
lose
yeah.
it, man. Everything.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Next up, we got the mosquito, the one thing
uh,
that everybody hates. I
yeah.
hate mosquitoes.
Yeah, these disease causing. I'm always fascinated how I'll go out and they love me. I must be some sweet meat for them because I'll go out to be on the grill, bro,
Mhm,
and you don't even realize, and all of a sudden you start feeling and like they're feasting on me. They're
mhm,
those little tiny ones even early in the spring,
mhm.
and yeah, mosquitoes. I'm not a big fan of mosquitoes, and before you know it, I'll go in my house and I'll get like nickel and quarter size welt on me, and didn't even realize that the son of a bitch was on me.
Right, right, man. They only live 3 months, but man, they are. I mean, they sure are hated. And I am curious because I've heard that smokers usually don't get bit by mosquitoes.
I
We'll
never
have to
really
ask.
heard that
We'll
tale.
have to ask Bob Levy.
Nah, I never get. That's why I smoke so much. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you're keeping up lately, but him and Shuley are attempting to quit again, and I never like it. Yeah, I want them to be healthy, but you
Yeah.
just know, and you might know some people that are like this. Some people that are smokers, when they get old and they act like they're never going to quit. So it's
Right.
kind of futile. They go through this futile exercise of trying to quit. Some people are just, I guess, meant to be smokers, but it seems like they take it out on us and the world when they stop smoking for a while. So we'll have to see if it sticks this time. He's an expert. He's a pro at quitting smoking cigarettes right now.
He probably has like the time span, here's how long I'm going to last this time.
Yeah, I don't know. And then, one of them tries to do it, and then you try to do it with a partner, and then you find out the partner has smoked before you. Then it becomes a competition, like who's going to
Yeah.
cheat first and all. So to me, like and if you're only going to go back, and we've seen them do this before, it's like, if it ain't going to stick, just don't even go through the exercise. Just keep smoking.
Well, and I'm pretty sure there's a certain age where it's like it doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that age is, but you're right. My grandmother, my father's mother, she smoked like in her hospital back in the like early '80s. She was passing, and she in the hospital bed she was smoking, so she didn't care. You couldn't stop her.
Right. I remember still in the early 2000s. I mean, you can go in a restaurant and they still had smokers and not smoking sections.
Yeah. Yep. The restaurants cordoned off and put like glass the partitions between the bar. They made it a whole thing, and then eventually they just outlawed it altogether. But I remember my brother-in-law told me when they started outlawing smoking, he's going to watch. I guarantee you, in my lifetime, they're going to have people. You won't even be able to smoke in public no more. And my boy was right, because when I was a kid and I used to go to the ball games with my father, everyone that smoked a cigar or cigarette would just seem like would pass by my nose. So I spent most of the games going up back and forth in my seat dodging cigarette smoke. So I remember when the struggle was real.
Right. All right. So you ready for the opposite end of this and more of the longer lifespan animals?
Sure, man. Yeah, let's see what we can learn from them, man.
All right.
See if
So
they'll
we
teach
got
us anything.
this one's the immortal jellyfish.
Immortal jelly. Wow.
This is a deep sea one,
That
and
almost sounds like a band name.
yeah, it does.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Immortal Jellyfish.
They are more deep ocean, and they basically they reproduce, and then they go into like a state of almost hibernation, and then they just kind of come back to life periodically.
Wow.
And I didn't dig too much, but they basically don't. I mean, they don't die until. I mean, I'm guessing if they get eaten or injured, maybe, but they don't just live and then die.
Wow. You talk about hibernation, especially this time of the year. My body is very in tune to the seasons and the cycles. And part of me thinks that we were talking about our lifespan and what expected of us. Part of me thinks I must be part bear, because I swear I get the urge to hibernate this time of the year, dude. It's like I just want to sleep. I don't want to go outside. It's cold. And I know it's part of it's just a natural feeling, but I feel it so deeply in my soul, like my body wants to shut down. I'm like, am I part bear? Do I have to get with my bear brothers? Because I feel like shutting down. I think they got something going on. They got the right idea.
As hairy as I am, I would not be surprised if I was part bear. But yeah, no, I feel you there, and I think it has something. Actually, I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the cold weather too, because it just kind of slows down the body.
It does. It makes me want to shut down, bro. And it can be a mental struggle some days to go, man, I know it's that cold. Let's get the body up, and so it's a thing. I'm definitely much more of a warm weather guy.
Yes, yeah, I like the cold. I don't like road conditions. That's the only thing that really bugs me.
You're right, bro. That's what I always say, because people are like, oh, snow. I love snow. Isn't it great when it's snow? Yeah, snow is great if you can sit in your house and look out the window and stare at it. But when you got to go at it, and I know yourself, you said you've been working lots of long days, and sometimes people may or may not show up. So when you got to go out in it, that snow isn't so pretty. You don't want to hear that forecast like you just got.
Yeah, no, icy, slushy.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't matter what kind of tire you have, it just kind of sticks in the tread, and you're sliding everywhere. And it's not even that I'm a bad driver; it's that everybody else just doesn't know how to drive in it.
Yeah, that's what we all think, right? It isn't us; it's everybody else that doesn't know how to drive in it. But you're right, bro. I have a four-wheel drive truck, but if you're on ice, you're just spinning four wheels. So yeah, the weather there isn't always a solution for some of this weather.
Right. I don't think I have a tiny little Honda Insight. It's like a little Prius, and then I've got a Chevy Traverse,
Mhm.
but it's not a 4-wheel drive either. So it doesn't matter which one it is. If it's ice or slush, they both slide,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Yeah, my four-wheel drive truck doesn't do any good if it's black ice on the road. Just doesn't
Mhm.
do anything.
And you mentioned black ice. You guys get quite a bit of that.
It happens every now and then because we live in Maryland, so we're such a temperate
Yeah.
state where it can be really cold one day and really hot another day. So yeah,
Mhm.
you'll find some cycles in between where whatever fell yesterday freezes up the kind of the next morning if it's cold. So you'll get that every now and then. You'll get the frozen frost on the street. Yeah, and like you
Right.
said, to me that's more dangerous than any kind of snow or anything.
Yeah. Next up, I've got the red coral.
Ooh.
This one lives about 500 years. This one actually kind of got me because they don't move. I mean, they sway in the current, but they
Mhm.
don't move. Like if you knew you were going to live 500 years, but you weren't moving,
I don't know. I guess if
it,
everything comes to me, I guess the ocean flows all they need. Yeah, everything that they need, the ocean must come to them. But
mm,
yeah, that's some beautiful stuff that grows under there on the coral reef and 500 years. And I know there've been many stories recently about with global warming and all that some of these parts of the reefs are dying off,
uh-huh.
in Australia. So that would
Yep.
be a sad thing. Some of this you don't know how much is just regularly cyclical, and we're just here on a planet for a short period of time, and we
Mhm.
think it's kind of a tragedy or some type of thing. But this might just be part of an overall cycle of the planet. We'll just never experience the full cycle because we're here for such a brief time. I mean, this coral is going to outlive generations of us.
Yes, yeah, and I was thinking when I think of animal lifespans, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get parrots, I'm gonna get gerbils, I'm gonna get
Yeah.
hamsters, but it was like you seen, none of these have been anything like that.
No, it's come of the more hardy things. It's all been kind of biological and things that
Mhm.
maybe
Help with
have
nature.
yeah, nature, that have adapted to their surroundings and maybe a little more better than some of these other living creatures.
Yeah, if you knew that you were gonna live 500 years,
There you go.
what would you do? Like, what would you
I'd put off
like
everything.
contemplate?
I'd put off everything.
Yeah, I would probably be a very big procrastinator.
I got time. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. It's like we talked about it. Maybe your conditions are based on the biology of your lifespan, how you feel, where that
Uh-huh.
all fits.
And I would imagine they probably have more of like a consciousness than those with the shorter lifespans that we discussed because theirs is just kind of reproduce and die.
But I
Um,
guess we've kind of shown that you don't really need consciousness to have purpose, right? Because we don't
right.
even know how many of these things have consciousness, but they have purpose. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
don't
wish
really
we
know
could.
what the purpose of a mosquito is, but it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to spread our blood and disease around. I do think that everything. Like, I don't think everything's out there to benefit you. They call it a balance to life for a reason. Sometimes
Mhm.
people get, I think some things are introduced to us for these reasons to give us that balance of life. Unfortunately, death is part of life, and I think there is a balance, and I think all of these things obviously affect us. Someone can get bit by the tiniest mosquito and catch malaria or a disease and they die, and that affects the balance of human life. So it's
Yep. It's just like ticks and Lyme disease. It's like same
yeah.
thing. You get Lyme disease. Hey, you're not eating meats and stuff like that for quite a while, at least, depending on
um
how quick you catch it.
we were a big camping family when my kids were younger, and
Yeah.
one of my daughters did end up contracting Lyme disease. She had problems after the fact that we really didn't know about. We couldn't find the tickle or anything, but she was having like numbness and issues and things like this. And it come to find out after some testing that these were the after effects of Lyme disease. And luckily, they have things that can kind of help flush it out of you and cycle it
Yep.
out of you nowadays. But back when I was younger, you didn't want to get bit by that tick and get Lyme disease because you just didn't know how it was going to play out.
Yeah. And it's still like that today, even with
Yeah.
they have things to help treat it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to either.
hmm Did you get the tick check when you were younger? When we would go to the country, my mother would always give us the tick check
Mhm.
because check the head and everything, and all of a sudden she's checking like the other areas. Like, oh, wait a minute, like so. Then I dreaded going to my aunt's farm because I'm like, I know I'm going to get accosted every time I come back because I'm going to gotta get deliced and de-ticked from being out in the woods on my aunt's farm.
I was 12 and my great grandma. I remember we were out at it was my grandpa's house. There was like a family get together, and all the kids were playing outside, and I got chigger bites all around in between my thighs, groin area, and my great grandma was like, "Let me see it. Let me see it.
Yeah. Let me see."
And she grabs like the Benadryl cream, and she's like, "No.
Let me rub your cock and balls." Yeah.
It's that awkward situation of grandma not giving a fuck, and you're just like, "Oh, grandma.
Yeah, grandma don't. They only like, what are you talking about? I wiped your ass. I cleaned the ass when you was a kid. I don't want to hear none of that shit. Just because it's bigger now, it don't affect me. Yeah, that's how moms and grandmoms are.
Yeah, no, I definitely remember those days, man.
Yep.
All right, next up,
what we got?
We've got the quahog clam.
Wow,
225 years, man.
Damn,
that's impressive. I can't imagine just living in a shell, though. I mean, I don't know really what they do underwater. They just sit open, but be a bit of. I feel like that'd just be a weird life, just being pulled around by the current your whole life until you just end up on a shore or you don't.
Mm-hmm. And see, that's the interesting thing about this, because once again, we talk about humans and perception. We have perception of time frame and all, but to them, 225 years, if there's no perception, or if this is just their biological cycle, then maybe there isn't. So it's only a thing to us because we have a consciousness and have an awareness about a time frame, to where this is obviously just status quo for these living organisms. But we put a value on it. We go, okay, well, compared to my 50, 60, 70 years, this thing lives 225 years, where, yeah, it might not obviously has no thoughts of what it's doing. It just exists.
Yeah, no, and it's funny you brought up perception. When I first started podcasting, I did 2 shows, and one was called Singed Eye Sockets, and the idea behind it was that, our eyes are open, but we don't really think about things. Now we have phones to do it for us.
You got that right.
And so I did a lot of topics based on perception, and I only did 3 episodes, and then I stopped because I was still doing podcasting. It wasn't the best quality content. But the topics were good, and now I'm actually thinking about bringing it back now that everything's climbing up there. So I might get, because I got this like comedy show stardom where sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's just interesting, but it's always a good time. But I'm thinking about getting back into that perception podcast too, because I think it'd be fun to get guests on to talk about like serious topics like fear or pain or things like that, and how we all perceive it differently.
It is, and I'm fascinated how you can show someone a picture or a phrase or a sentence or something, or even some of these little viral the videos where it go, what's it saying? Is it saying blue knob or whatever the word is, and how we can all sit here and look at that video and come up with a different thing with our eyes and our ears, even though to us as an individual, we're clearly hearing and seeing it as only one thing. Other people can hear and see that exact same thing and get a whole other meaning out of that. So I'm always fascinated by that, and I'm always challenging my mind to think out of the ordinary of the way I normally think.
Yeah, think outside the box.
Yeah, and that's kind of the phrase for it and all, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, and that's how a lot of people, I feel like they should think that way, because there's just too much, like, I don't know, dude. There's lack of creativity.
Yeah, and then you can go start with Hollywood with that. We've talked about, we grew up, we had great movie franchises, and every couple of years things were being made. But now it seems like we're just in this heavy remake mode where everything is just being remade and rehashed and reconstituted with like new people. I'm even hearing rumblings of like new Mrs. Doubtfire, like with Will Smith, and new Back to the Future. It's like, you're right. So when you said there's no creativity, it really seems to be we're at some kind of like creative funk spot. I can kind of feel that based on how we grew up, where we had like all of these great music artists and movies and everything. It seems to all like almost like kind of leveled off in my perception. Maybe that's just part of being older.
No, and you're right, because now you've got, country artists that are now blending rap. You've got rap artists that are going rock. You've got rock artists that are doing cover songs of other genres. Like the creativity factor, it's more unique than it used to be.
Yeah, it's just and we had all these like unique, just these amazing individuals like Prince and Michael Jackson and Elvis, like these just like they seem like they feel like now they're like these one-time anomaly people. Like, who is our biggest superstars right now compared to the days where we grew up, where you had some of the people that I mentioned, like your Madonnas and all, and those people like a Elvis or a Madonna, like they were household names, like every person knew them. And now I don't feel there are many big like common household names as maybe there used to be when we were growing up.
No, I mean, if you say Elvis today, even the Gen Zs, the ones that are born after 2000, know who Elvis is.
Right, still
Today.
Right, and then who can even, other than, to me, like even Michael Jackson was like the next biggest worldwide star in that vein. Like he was the next Elvis, if in my perception. He was that guy where if you say his name in the middle of nowhere, somebody's going, Michael Jackson. Yes, I know Michael Jackson. He's that guy.
Yeah, there's not really a lot that you can do that with.
Yeah, I don't think we have any singular stars that you can throw on a TV or throw up to a person and everybody goes, yes. It doesn't feel that way anymore.
Yeah, it's because and I grew up in the 90s as a kid. My preteen years, and it was a lot of like grunge rock. Candlebox, Silverchair, Nirvana, and stuff like that. And even today, the Gen Z, some of them don't even know who they are already. But
yes, and that's what's fascinating too, is that when I was coming up, everybody it was the whole Tupac thing and the Biggie thing, all that stuff and all. And now you're getting to these generations now where they give no shits about Tupac and Biggie because it's 10, 20, 25 years removed. And these kids that are like 10, 15 years old, they have no looking back on that unless they were like really educated by a family member. There is no like leftover Elvis perception with these guys. They don't care about some of these bigger stars that existed.
Nope. And it's crazy. And we talk about like the podcast and the stuff that we do. But like my kids, when they watch YouTube or something, it's literally just families doing random things that everybody else already does. And they're getting millions of views on it. And there's nothing creative about it.
Yeah, I mean, creative, right? It doesn't have to be creative. It just has to be interesting. You see people like sitting in like pools with swimmy floats on them and doing crazy shit, like doing nothing in particular, just has a camera on them 24/7, and they're getting mad views and they're getting mad money in there. So yeah, it's crazy.
It is. It's gotten bad, and I think that part of that kind of reflects or goes back on the parents too. There's a point where, we want time away from the kids, and it's like, okay, go play outside. But now it's like, okay, do I really want my kid outside based on the way society's got? But then it's like, do you give them a tablet, or do you play games with them, or do you tell them to play games? Like rather than going and playing video games or watching videos on their TV or whatever.
Well, we had a little taste of this last night, as I told you that my power went out for like 6 hours or so. So my wife and my daughters had to revert to old school games. They were playing electronic battleship, bro. They were playing like Scrabble and old school games. And that's what I told them. I said, at least you were born in an era where this is kind of a thing where you can do it. But there's some children that were born that only grew up with that phone in their face. And once the power goes off, what is a kid like that in these generations going to do during a power outage?
Or when everything crashes, because this thing,
or when everything crashes. Now go ahead. I'm let you finish your thought on that.
It's going to happen at some point. Like I'm not saying it's going to be 5 years from now.
I thought that's what you were going to say, bro. And I'm much of the same thinking that you. I don't trust all this with this electronic money and everything. I think you see more and more every day where these hackers are getting more and more advanced at what they do. I've had to go through and change my passwords recently because your shit goes out there on the dark web and all. And I don't trust an electronic money. It's going to take one catastrophic failure to make everybody realize that you better keep some hard cash on hand.
Everything that we do goes to some computer base somewhere that can easily be hacked. Maybe not easily, but hacked or destroyed, no matter what. And that's everything online. There's not one thing that just exists online and it just cannot be, killed or destroyed or hacked.
And, we grew up in the days of physical media and going to the bank and things like this, to where these newer generations, these young kids nowadays, they don't know what it was like. But yeah, we had I like physical, I like my DVDs still and everything, I don't want to have to trust somebody online to store it for me. And then maybe people's sensibilities change and they start editing things, So yeah, everything just existing electronically is kind of scary to me. And I think it's kind of flimsy. I think it's kind of
well. As we kind of wrap this up, I mean, we've hit pretty much all of the animals. I mean, there's like the tortoises that live like 100 to 225 years, 300 to 500 years. But something as simple as a solar flare getting close enough to the Earth could easily just wipe out electronics.
So we were talking about before the show, we were having issues connecting, and I told you that I had internet issues, and some of my other companions had issues on the Monday show that we did. And when I started seeing it collectively, I even asked myself, did we get hit electronic magnetic pulse or something like that? Was there a solar flare? Because I think these things probably occur more often daily than we even realize. We take it as, oh, I just had a little outage. But when you're on here podcasting and you see how it affects many other people, you're like, these things might be a little bit bigger than we're being told. And as far as like some of the when some of these computer systems crash, or if you steal information, some of these banks get shut down. I think that happens a lot more daily than we're ever told about.
Yeah, and that's kind of another reason why I like doing these live shows, whether I have an audience while we're live or not. The thing is, I don't have to worry about having that recording on my phone or on the computer. I could just, when I'm done, it's out there. And I have pre-recorded content from my other shows and stuff, which is great, but I don't just knowing that it's not out published and it's just sitting somewhere, what happens if it's lost or it's gone? Because when I first started podcasting, I used to have like audio issues, like I didn't connect the mic or something like that. And it's like, you just have a whole episode just done, toast. And I don't like that feeling, man. I mean, I get it happens. We have technical issues, and we've kind of learned to adapt with them. Oh, yeah. But you know what I mean? I mean, you know that feeling?
Yep. Just kind of you learn to roll with pretty much everything doing this podcasting.
Yeah. Yeah. And even your backgrounds, man. Did you create that background yourself?
No, I told you before the show, I had to go out and I was looking for a different kind of background, like maybe sitting in a cool room. And I just happened to come upon this picture, and it's neat because, with a green screen, you could just kind of plug anything in and see how it looks. And so when I plugged it in, I'm like, you know what? That's not half bad. So that's just what I'm going. That's just the picture of the week, I guess. Or
did you not like the moving background?
It was okay, but I thought maybe it wasn't personal enough. Yeah, like you saw, I used to have one. I would be rolling my credits on my green screen like a whore, like a advertising myself.
Yeah.
And so I pondered using that background when I came on your show, but I figured we're hanging out, we're being a little more casual, so I'd get a little room vibe going on.
Yeah, man, it works. That's why I got the lounge behind me. It just fits, everything.
Yeah, but this has been an amazing year. I appreciate you catching up with me. You were like literally like the first dude that said, hey, Bob, I see what you're doing out there. Why don't you come on my show? And I haven't been on since, but it's been an amazing year. Like since I've like talked to you last, I've taught myself how to do so much of this stuff in this year. Done stuff, like editing video. Like I really wasn't a video guy when I first started in this. I was more like the sound effects and being the voice guy and being the presenter, but I wasn't really into all the production. So in this past year, I've really gotten down to grinding and figuring out how to make shorts and things. And you helped me with that early on, and you taught me the importance of throwing out a short, and you gave me some pointers on that early on. So I try to pick up and adapt all of these things that I like, the little Easter eggs I get from you and other people, and I've been trying to apply, and it's going pretty good.
That's fantastic, man. I want to actually show this real quick before we're done, just so you can see just how much the shorts help. This is my YouTube channel. Yeah, so I only have 562 subscribers. I say only, but in the last month that just jumped almost 100, a month and a half, which is phenomenal, and that's all because of you guys. But look at those views, man. And
and that's the game. You're in a really good short lane, and I can tell that with the live and the shorts is that shorts seems to be a lane, and you have to show consistency, and you have to be in it daily, and you have to have those hashtags. And if you do that, and I know that you do that very well, I believe that's the key to your high view count, is because I know that your shorts perform very well. I've seen the ones that come up on my phone. I see some of this.
Yes, I appreciate that, and you're right, and that's actually what I've been telling, especially as my channel is growing and I'm bringing on these other shows. It's like they've like, well, you're not doing as many shows as we are. Well, I mean, I'm still doing the shows. I'm still doing a show a week. I'm still doing my goal is to get this channel up to a point where the algorithm just kind of acknowledges that it's existing and it's doing really well, and it kind of from what I've researched is when you hit a certain point, it just kind of steadily continues to climb.
Yeah, and you seem to be definitely further along in that process than me. I put out my meager one short a week maybe, and I've been gotten better at putting accurate hashtags in it, putting relevant hashtags in it. Any content that I talked about, I try to make them part of it too. So I'm trying to build on my short game. And yeah, you're further along in that, and I do think you've hit that part of the algorithm, much like my friend Andrew the Giant. I do the show Sports Heads with him. And Andrew loves being online all the time, and he makes mad shorts. He is like a prolific short maker, bro. And all of his subs and his views, a majority of them have come from him doing these shorts.
Yep, and that's how it kind of you look at those views, and then when they subscribe, then it kind of flows over into the other stuff, into these live broadcasts and these other things. And that's if they don't like it, they unsubscribe. That's fine. But when you throw out a short and you get 12 subscribers from that, usually you get a couple that are going to stick around, and that's the best part.
And that's what's neat about this podcasting. There's so many different lanes to make money in, like, or to do well in, whether you make money or not, whatever, you can get views in. And there's people do it different ways. And that's what I like about you. Do you have that working for you? And I know that there's ways to making revenue with the shorts and all. So that's what I like about this podcasting is that there's different ways to kind of figure out how to put your content out there and have it come back for you and generate views and profit maybe.
Yeah. So as we wrap today up, and I appreciate you being on, and like you said, we've both kind of met a while back, and kind of towards the beginning of me doing it. I mean, I don't know about you. I've been doing it for about a little over 3 years now. But just to see the progression that we've made, and it's nice to see people who actually enjoy doing it, because there's so many of them out there, and they just crash and fail, but they're still out there. And the people who actually are in it and want to succeed, it's good to kind of keep in touch with those people.
I'm finding that the biggest misconception about podcasting is that it's not work. If you do a podcast and you think it's not work, then you're not doing it right, or you're fooling yourself, because I see many guys, there's some other guys out there that I see and they go, boy, you kind of make that look good or easy. I want to try that and all. And then they jump in and do it. And then maybe they peter out because they realize that it's actual work. Like I told you before the show, even when I'm not on my gear, I'm constantly thinking about it and grinding it. I'm always have like a production mind. And if you're not of that mindset and if you really don't have no love for it, I think that you're going to fall off after 3, 4, and 5 shows. But yeah, there's some guys that I've talked to and they're like, boy, this takes a lot of work. And I'm like, oh, I see you're figuring it out,
Yeah, well, because I was a nobody. I wasn't anybody. I mean, I still don't want to necessarily say I'm somebody, but I'm not anybody important. I'm not a celebrity that just said, hey, I'm starting a podcast and didn't have to do anything for it to take off. Like, I've had to hustle and grind to get to where I'm at. And I haven't invested money to try and grow, because you got your authentic actual following, and then you've got the ones that you paid for that aren't watching any of your stuff. So, and I don't want that. So I mean, I'm going to continue to hustle grind. But if you're not sharing it after you're done, like, hey, go watch this, or hey, check this out, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I understand there are ways to build up your channels and all, but I only want to do mine organically. I never want to sit there and think, I want to know that anybody that shows up is showing up because they really like my content and they like me. Exactly. I just don't want a number just to have a number.
Right. No, I agree 100%. And then as we both grow together, I'm always down to help support you. And whenever I see yours, post about a show, I try to share it if I see it. I don't do it every time, but I do when I think about it, So
well,
I'll always do that for everybody.
That's cool. That's the biggest. It's no big secret for me. I mean, that's the biggest part of what helped make me successful is that this community. I'm part of that whole Shuley Show community, like you mentioned, Shuley Show and all. And there's a group. I picture like a little chat family, and we go from one show to the other, and we're all kind of a group and all. So getting out there and communicating with people, being in the chats and being a part of a larger community has really kind of helped me get to where I'm at right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, hey, it's been great, man, and I appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy man with all your stuff going on now too, so thank you. And actually, whenever we do shows, it seems like they usually do pretty good view wise.
Well, that's good. I don't know what it is. People are looking at what's a Bobby Fran. You know, it's just kind of a nickname that one of my friends gave me when I was younger. And there's so many Bobbies. You got Bob Levy. I got my boy Bobby Nick. And we had a third Bobby. I was on shows with like 3 and 4 Bobbies, and somebody would say Bob, and nobody would know who the hell they were talking to. So we kind of differentiated. I call Bobby Fran, and people shorten it to BF and all. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great time. It's a lot of fun doing this, and I enjoy people meeting people like yourself, and I've met Hack Ride and a lot of other these kind of great creators just in a year doing this. So I'm looking forward to 2024 and just keep going and keep grinding more, man.
Heck yeah, man. Hey, and to everybody that's watched today, we've actually had one that I'm pretty sure was consistently watching this whole time. And a couple that popped on and off. So I appreciate you guys. And to everybody that's going to listen later on, I appreciate you. And, and until next time, everybody, we'll see you around.
Later, y'all. Have a great one.